What's good, y'all? I'm here to talk about the really cool buffs and changes I've made for Iron Boulder in my ROM hack, Pokemon Scrambled Scarlet. So before I even explain what's going on here, why his speed is quote-unquote nerfed, what's going on with the abilities, all these cool new moves, all that stuff, if you're a new viewer, I appreciate you clicking on the video. Hope you're not overwhelmed by the volume of stuff. And I highly recommend that if you are new here to pause the video and read the description. I laid out basically everything that you would want to know about the ROM hack in relatively short amount of time in the description. So it's all bullet point form. You can pause the video, read it. It'll give you a lot of the background information for how the ROM hack is balanced and why I've been choosing to balance things that way. So definitely give that a look. When you're done with the video, you can check out my other ones. I'm making other ones for literally every single Pokemon in the game. I've got a Discord server you should join the community there. And then when you're also done with this video, I would recommend you check out the Google Sheet, specifically so you can look at the move sheet, especially if you're a returning viewer and you haven't done that yet, and you want to know the basics of how all the moves in the game work now. That's a really, obviously, key factor for understanding stuff. Of course, I do cover it in the videos as well, but it's not always going to have time to cover every single thing. So yeah, with all that out of the way, I also appreciate my returning viewers, by the way. Shout out to you guys. Leave a like, drop a comment, all that stuff. Helps with the algorithm, helps support my work. So please do that. Boulder. So speed is dropped. I know a lot of competitive players are going to be like, why would you do that? Oh my god, that's his whole thing, is the, boost your speed, whatever, SD, mighty cleave, blah, blah, blah. So having a 100% accurate rock move is nothing unique anymore in this game, because I've, again, reworked all the moves in the game so that every single type based on the physical or special side of the spectrum has good options, diverse options, basically not just only one good move but several good moves. So again, check this out. There are tons of new variants for every single type of cool archetype for moves. So yeah, rock is no exception, right? There are actually very few rock moves. I think is there even a single inaccurate physical rock move anymore? There are very few inaccurate moves in the game. There's only 23, but in terms of rock moves, I think there might be literally none that I can think of. Let's scroll all the way down. It's like all the way at the bottom. Rock. I could have just typed in rock type moves, but I am stubborn sometimes. Okay, yeah, no, there is not a single one. So there you go. Every single rock move is accurate. But anyway, so the reason I had to drop the speed is because of brute force, right? So this is actually, I think this is still I think this is the second fastest brute force mon in the game. Iron Boulder and Terrakion are both tied, which is insane, right? You don't even have to run a Choice Scarf every single fight with this guy with brute force. Of course, you probably still will, especially if you don't get a plus speed nature, because if you don't get a plus speed nature, you're going to have to use Quark Drive for speed, or stuff like agility, or again, Choice Scarf. Keep in mind there is item clause in the game, so your Choice Scarf slot will often be used up by other Pokemon anyway, so it's nice to have that Quark Drive. Also, it allows you to switch your moves, so you can either go for a setup move with Quark Drive, boost your speed, which is still possible, although you will have to sacrifice a lot of attack. It's not a big deal when you have high base power moves anyway. So if you have 108 base speed, you're not even sacrificing that much attack. Like, you still hit a good attack stat, There you go. So 88 attack EVs with booster speed, and that's still possible to, outspeed everything in the game at that point at +1. And in game, the speed tiers are much less crazy as well versus like Scarf crap. And did I not put this on loop again? No, it's just silent for some reason. What the hell? Sorry guys. Let me just. Why is the music not working? There we go. Okay, it's on loop, right? There we go. All right, so yeah, Boulder. That's why I dropped the speed. Okay, it's for balancing for brute force, and I think it's really cool for him to have brute force because, for me, like the vibes of the trio is like at least for the iron ones. I mean, obviously the base forms even more so, but like Rizion is like the fastest of them. Terrakion is like the tankiest and like the most unga like damage output, and then Cobalion is like a little bit of an in between of them. That's how I foresee it. Of course, in this case, Iron Crown is special attacking, but yeah. So all of them have the ability Energy Shield, which a decent amount of the future paradoxes now have, given the vibes of just the fact that they're like this glowing energy robot stuff is like flowing through their body at all times. So I think that's a fitting ability for all three of them, and it's cool. I like little patterns like that. And also they follow the same stat patterns, with Iron Boulder having even more HP than the other two because he's just a lot bulkier looking. But I mean, he's super tanky, right? 100, 108, 108. And as you see, the Mighty Cleave and the Side Shield Bash dual stab at level 50, which is probably around the time you're going to get him anyways. So basically from the second you get him, he'll have access to the Mighty Cleave and the Side Shield Bash. Which both give him +1 in his defenses. So that's really good with both Energy Shield and Brute Force, and even with Booster Speed Quark Drive. You can do all sorts of really cool defensive utility crap, or just become super tanky so that you live hits really easily. So that's really fun. You can like just spam Unga Bunga like Brute Force, Mighty Cleave, Psy Shield, Bash, and Psy Shield, holy shit, that's a hard one to say when I'm talking fast. Psy Shield, Bash. Um, yeah, that gives you a really cool defense boost on either side. As for why Mighty Cleave has that effect now, I mean, outside of the obvious crit, being like a slash type move, I think it's really cool because the dex, not the dex, the move description says it's gathering energy on the horn. Like I think specifically it's gathering light energy atop of its horn. So I think that energy translating to special defense is really cool. And then obviously Psy Shield Bash is the physical, not the physical, the defensive counterpart of that, right? So he has dual stab that boosts his defenses guaranteed, and they're both essentially 100 base power roughly. So that's really, really cool. Of course, he's got other high base power psychic moves. So you got your Psy Blade, which you could use in electric terrain with Quark Drive, or just as a nice spammable. Although Zen Headbutt is stronger, so with Scarf you would probably want to use Zen Headbutt, or later in the game. Well, actually, Psy Shield Bash is stronger and actually objectively better than Zen Headbutt. So yeah, you're running Psy Shield Bash, but Psy Blade is cool for Quark Drive or in electric terrain, and Energy Shield is really cool for a bunch of like defensive moves that you get, and also just allowing you to switch into attacks better. So for example, if you're not always going to need the attack boost from Brute Force or the speed boost from Quark Drive. So for example, you can run like Choice Scarf, Energy Shield, switch in, take a hit that you wouldn't otherwise be able to live, and then outspeed in one shot, the thing that you took the hit from. So that's really good in an in-game context, being able to time exactly when your Energy Shield goes off. So it gives him a lot of great defensive utility too. He can use pivot moves, he can use eject button, whatever it is, to enable other teammates. He's got slow teleport and faster volt switch, so those are both really cool utility options. And he has healing moves in the form of recharge and fortify. Excuse me. So those are really cool. Accelerock is a nice little priority. Also same thing as Spark. Spark is electric type quick attack, so that's cool. You've got your Volt Tackle, which is really good with like all three of your abilities. Obviously it's a bit counterproductive with Energy Shield, but you're going to be using Energy Shield. If you're using Energy Shield to switch in, then you're already breaking it anyway, so you may as well click Volt Tackle at that point. But you've also got Head Smash, which is incredibly powerful with Brute Force. That's why it's at level 65, because it's just so strong. It's 140 power. It does deal significant recoil, and a lot of the time it's overkill, so you might just want to run Strength, or even like Stone Edge. Stone Edge is also 100 accuracy, but you can't click it twice in a row. So Stone Edge is even better with stuff like Quark Drive or with faster like non-Choice Scarf sets, but if you don't want to take recoil at all for whatever reason, say you need to switch in on a specific attack, then you can click Scarf, Brute Force, Stone Edge, and then just switch out. It's not a big deal. It's just to stop you from spamming it. And then Mighty Cleave is, again, almost 100 base power, so that is also a really spammable move, given the Spadef boost effect. Brutal Blade and Brutal Bash are the same thing as Stone Edge, meaning that they can't be used twice in a row, and they're Wicked Blow variants, so those are really good for getting one kill and then switching out, or running with Quark Drive speed boost or Energy Shield or whatever else. But if you're running Scarf Brute Force, which is a lot of the time you might be running that, then yeah. This guy, again, is definitely kind of broken with that Brute Force in an in-game context, because Choice Band and Choice items in general are really, really, really good versus AI, because they're never switching out, so they're never punishing your Choice item, really. So it's incredibly powerful. I just think it fits Terrakion and Iron Boulder really well, given, again, that their whole thing is like being these these physical brutes. Like Terrakion, if you read his dex entries, he's like crashing into castle walls, destroying it in one blow. Like his whole thing is just being powerful, right? So I think giving him that Brute Force is really fitting. And then logically, I also just don't. So not only is his speed drop for balance, but it's also like I don't see him being that fast at all. Like I know he's a robot and all, but I don't know. I said this in the Ion Leaves video, but I feel like these guys, their stats were so backwards. Like I don't see why Boulder should be the fastest and why Leaves should be the. I think Leaves is super slow, and it's not actually slow. It's 108, but it's super slow for what it looks like. It looks like it should be super agile. And then don't even get me started on Crown. Crown is way slower than it looks like it should be. So all that stuff, I don't know, it tends to bother me, so I like to change it to fit what I think makes more sense. Even stuff like Rock Wrecker is insanely powerful before you get access to Head Smash and Strength. Rock Wrecker is the same thing as Superpower, which are both now physical Draco Meteor variants. You've also got like Headlong Rush, CC, and Psycho Break, all of which are close combat variants. So those are really good and spammable with Brute Force, no drawback, not even any recoil. Headlong Rush is a really fitting move, of course, for Terrakion and Iron Boulder. Psycho Break, obviously very cool on him. That psychic type close combat is super dope on the Brute Force sets. And then High Horsepower is super, super cheesy. I might have to remove that or nerf it at some point, depending on how the game ends up playing. We'll just see as the game is tested and all that stuff. Also, Megahorn, by the way, is another CC variant I didn't cover. But High Horsepower super cheesy with Quark Drive sets. If you want to like try sweeping with like plus speed Quark Drive, you can use that with either your Mighty Cleave, Psy Shield, Bash to boost your defenses up. so that way you're limiting hits, or you can just use it with like boring SD crap and then get the speed boost from Quark and then just outspeed everything and then click high horsepower on the either Sash Pokemon or Quick Claw Pokemon that will stop your sweep, and then it's like, oh, well, GG. So I don't know, I will either end up nerfing or banning them in some regard, or just having a soft ban on setup moves. We'll see how the game plays out. I mean, it might not even be that crazy in practice. It's really up to playtesting to see. Regardless, though, he's super cool. Outside of that boring sweeping shit, I think all types of other just, coming in, doing damage, getting out, or using energy shield for that utility, or just to take hits better, and then that Quark for the speed. And then, of course, you can use Quark Drive in Electric Terrain too, and then you could probably use like Booster Attack more. But Booster Attack Quark is like really niche when Brute Force is there, so it's mostly for booster speed. Yeah, that's about it. A couple other things I could touch on, but I trust that you guys can read and look at all the options. I mean, you've got your energy shield counter, mirror coat, metal burst crap. You've got healing moves. You've got even cool coverage like heat crash is pretty neat. I like because he's like his whole thing is like slamming into the opponent, right? He's like this heavy, bulky guy, and also he's a robot, so I think him using heat crash is pretty cool. Again, it's also a TM, so I could kind of be more lenient with that. Yeah, shout out to you if you made it to the end of the video. I appreciate it very much, and I'll be back for more changes coming up. Peace.